And the women conceiving brought forth giants, whose stature was each 300 cubits, about 450 feet. Imagine 212 meters. Imagine. In fact, I'm going to show the gallery on our website, thewayofyahweh.org. For there are several giants that they have found already. In fact, they found a giant not long ago. You can look for it in China. They found the head, and they are saying, well, they're trying to make it fit with their theory of evolution. Since it doesn't fit, they are trying to make it fit through changing words. But the fact that it is a giant head means there was a giant body under it. So it was a giant that they found in China not long ago. If you want, I can show you guys that report. Okay, we go. So look at this. Well, first of all, it has nothing to do with the, but look how there's evidence that men, look at the foot right here, walked with what they call dinosaurs nowadays, but they were called back in the day dragons. But nowadays they say dragons are mythology and dinosaurs are reality, but they are the same thing, different names, just to confuse. And there is evidence that men walked with dragons, but that doesn't fit their theory of evolution and Big Bang and all of that. So they hide these things from people, and they have burned a lot of evidence in the past. And also here, you see a drawing of a dinosaur. Anybody who sees this nowadays would say that's a dinosaur, right? The behemoth of the book of Job. But for somebody to draw this, that person has to be, well, a human. So this is very old art, of course, but that shows that humans saw dragons and that's why they drew them. But that was not the one I wanted to show you guys. Look at this. These are um, pretty much the sizes of skeletons that they have found throughout part of history. And I say part because I'm sure they have found a lot more, but they don't tell us. But these are those of which there is evidence. And well, you can read here. These skeletal figures represent just a few giant human remains unearthed and documented in historical records, along with the historical accounts of Goliath, right? Which is a giant that uh, David fought, a small giant next to the giants from before the flood, but a giant nevertheless. And since it was in the time of David, that confirms what we read in Genesis, that there were giants in those days and afterwards. So here you can see this. This is a person, 6 feet right here, which is pretty much average. I'm a bit lower than this, so imagine. But this is 6 feet right here, and look what they have found, all the way to 36 feet. What they have found, what is recorded. But we are reading that they were back in the day 450 feet. So that's 414 feet more than the biggest one here. And look how regular average men from nowadays, where where it gets not even to the knee. And this is a small giant according to the book of Enoch. And remember also, just in case, and which might be well, part of the reason why this that we see here are the ones that they have found or are recorded, because also remember that when Israel went to spy the land to see if it was good, they said that they were as grasshoppers to the giants of the land. So a grasshopper is smaller than the 6 feet human right here. It would be so. My point is that the giants that were in the land of Canaan before Israel went in were bigger than this one 36 feet. according to the actual account of the spies. They were afraid because they were small as grasshoppers, so they would reach perhaps the ankle of the giant, perhaps, and that's being a big grasshopper. So imagine that. Then look at this. There are, just in case, there are some pictures that you can find on the internet that are fake. Some people just decided to make some fake pictures so that they could call all pictures of giants fake. But look at these images they have found. Look at these with horns, cyclops, three eyes, and other proof of giants. Femur, look at that next to a regular femur. And these are, I repeat, small giants. These heads were not normal and were not sick, which is what they would say nowadays. They were hybrids. Look at these weapons, bigger than a regular person, double the size, and they had to hold that with their hand. So the hand had to be like the size of a person. So a whole human in the hand of a giant. Look at people with 6 toes. That is, that comes from the giants. The Nephilim had 6 toes. They had 6 fingers on each hand and foot, and that is pretty much like a genetical trace that ended up within certain people of nowadays. They also had double rows of teeth, like sharks kind of thing, sometimes even more than 2, but I say 2 because of this image right here of a person with 2 rows of teeth. That is also like the 6 feet, I mean the 6 toes. Look at this image on the top right corner. It's pretty old, Sumerian. And here's a giant, because look, the people that come to serve him reach his knees pretty much, and he's sitting. That regarding the giants, you can see those images in the one called Universe. They are also in the English part, because as you saw, they were written in English. So it is amazing. It is way too hard to comprehend such a size. For those who have not read about it, search for soldiers or the army killed a giant in Afghanistan. I thought it was Pakistan, but yeah, I think, but a Stan, one of those finishing is Stan. So yeah, the army killed a giant not long ago, and they said he looked white, red-headed, and smelled like death. And he came out of a cave. He would eat people because they saw bones of him, like human bones, and he came and attacked them, killed a couple, I think, but then they were able to kill him. And secret, of course, of state. However, a whistleblower came out and spoke about the story. Also about humans with tails. I know of a story of some people who were working on the street in Egypt, and they made a hole bigger than they were expecting to make it, and they found what seemed to be like tunnels under it, and they saw certain people that looked like humans but with tails. Regarding tiny people, I have heard of it. I haven't read much about it. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, but only like regarding elves and stuff like that. But I know they're not the ones you're talking about. I believe are not like elves. They're just like regular people, just extremely tiny. Um, and yeah, actually, now that I just said it, there was a story I heard. I think there was a video. Yeah, but I'm not remembering much about tiny people, but they were not that tiny either. They were like half, perhaps half of the size of humans. But yeah, I kind of forgot the whole details, the old details. And I was telling you guys about the giant they found in China not long ago. Let me see if the story comes up. Yep. Let me show you guys. I just opened the first one I saw, so don't judge if anything appears that shouldn't be on the screen. Giant, well, obviously this is not true, but that's what they're saying. Human giant human skull found in China raises questions on evolution. This came out June 28th, 2021. So a few days ago, giant skull. So it doesn't fit their evolution theory, but they are trying to make it fit by saying that it's one of those missing links and stuff like that, that they were just too big back in the day, which would make sense with evolution, because if the strongest survive, then we should be huge still. It wouldn't make sense to become smaller and weaker and all of that. And our brains also makes no sense with their theory and the way they explain it. So I'm not going to get into the whole thing. Just wanted to show you that. All right. So continuing with Hanok, whose stature was each 300 cubits, which were born on the earth and grew according to their childhood. Grew according to their childhood. These devoured, this is very important because this is when everything started to get real bad. And right now, there are no, at least that we see them or anything like that, because there may be because of that story of Afghanistan, but hidden. And some say that the Illuminati or the system, those who control the powers that be, they have certain giants in underground bases. They even said of reptiles and all of that. But anyways, what I was going to say is that just like they used to do back in the day, they are doing now. They're not giants, but they are giants in power, in money. They call giants many of those companies that are owned by them. Some of them are hybrids, so they are Nephilim. However, they are not giants in size. And that's why they devour everything in their way. That's why they destroy the earth and then claim it's our fault. So it says, these devour all the labor of the sons of the Adam. These devour all the labor of the sons of Adam, or that the sons of Adam produce. Let me say it again. These devour all the labor that the sons of Adam produced until it became impossible to feed them. Imagine, like our sister here wrote, about 50,000 pounds. Imagine a person of 50,000 pounds, how much he would have to eat each and every day just to feel satisfied. And they wouldn't do it until they were satisfied. They would go above and beyond it. So imagine how much they would eat. So they began to eat humans. So it says, until it became impossible to feed them. Then they turned themselves against men in order to kill them and devour them. So when there was not enough food on earth, they started to eat humans and began to injure all the birds of the sky and the beasts of the earth, the reptiles and the fishes of the sea, and the fish of the sea, and they devoured each other's flesh and drank their blood. So they drank the blood, which it is forbidden. The nephesh, the soul, is in the blood. So they were not only eating the people, they were eating their souls, and began to injure, this injuring not only by eating them, but also by mixing them, their DNA, and began to injure all the birds of the sky and the beasts of the earth, the reptiles and the fish of the sea, and they devour each other's flesh and drank their blood. Then the earth reproved the unrighteous for all that had been done in her. Here, when it says one another's flesh, R.H. Charles notes that this phrase may refer to destruction of one class of giants by another class, which wouldn't be surprising at all. Not only were they eating humans, destroying the animals, but they were also killing each other, because there were different families of giants. And we see them later on also in scriptures. The Anahim, the Rephaim, and others.